at the North Face Climb Festival with the one and only Mr. James Pearson. James, how are you doing?
Too kind, too kind.
How are you doing today? You all right?
I'm all right, thank you very much, yeah.
Good. So you have actually been on the wall behind us already, haven't you?
Yes, I've already climbed it, luckily, today, to the top, and took the jump from the top, so put a few demons to bed, we could say that, and nice. I'm pretty psyched for tomorrow.
Cool. Can you tell us a little bit more what's actually happening here today?
In general?
In general.
In general. So the North Face have created the Climb Fest, which aims to bring the excitement of climbing to the big city in a format that's really easy to understand for the general public. And I think a deep water solo duel is about as understandable, as exciting as climbing can get.
Nice.
For spectators.
Yeah.
For the climbers, sometimes it's pretty scary.
Yeah. No, that was the nicest thing summary, I would say so. What are you doing here today at Climb Festival?
At Climb Fest, I've got various hats on. I'm first and foremost taking part in the competition, although that might be over pretty quickly. So the rest of the time I'm running various workshops, introducing people to climbing, doing some coaching and some technique sessions, and generally having a good time with everybody in the sunshine, because in addition to this amazing wall, we've also been blessed with some beautiful weather, which is, I think, very unlikely.
Yeah, very rare. You brought the sunshine back from France.
Let's say we brought it with us.
Yeah. So actually, funnily enough, I actually want to talk about France and more specifically what you've been doing at the moment. So you're actually, am I right in thinking there's a bit of change for you guys in terms of where you're located now?
Exactly. We recently sold our house that we've been living in for the last 10 or so years. Yeah, about 10 years ago we bought a kind of rundown old restaurant and restored it and brought it back to the land of the living, and we really enjoyed growing there as first as a couple and then later as a family. So we spent a few very enjoyable years in that house, but every now and again it's time for a change, so we've decided to move to the mountains where it's a little bit cooler in summer, even more climbing opportunities than we had before, and yeah.
And more activities for the kids as well, to get outside and explore the outdoors?
A lot more activities for the kids, yeah. That's actually one of the main reasons that we wanted to move up there, is because L'Argentière, where we're going to live now from now on, it's just... The kids are surrounded by a kind of a network of really positive influences. The place we were living before, it's... I'd say the average person has less of the values of less values in line with those of Cara and I, and so to be in a place with lots of like-minded people where everybody understands what you're doing and is, you know, excited about enjoying their time in a beautiful place, but also with an ecological mindset, trying to take care of the planet and for the good of the greater good, for a very grand phrase.
Nice.
Yes, so we're very excited for that.
I would say we're lucky enough to have a similar kind of community in Kendal, where we get people who are all like-minded, so we all kind of gather in one place.
Exactly.
And it's just how we are as humans. We just want to kind of, if we're of a similar ilk, we move together. With
like-minded people, exactly. L'Argentière, I think, is very, very similar to Kendal, except with 350 days of sunshine a year.
Oh. Bit different to Kendal. I don't know how many days it is, but it certainly isn't that's for sure.
Maybe you guys have the 10, but the 15.
Yeah, we kind of balance it out between us, that's for sure. You're doing a few more things while you're over here, such as heading up to Scotland.
Exactly. So we decided to make the most of this trip over to the UK, to go and finally, hopefully, fingers crossed, look at a route that I've been wanting to check out for quite a few years now, a route called Echo Wall, which is up on the side of Ben Nevis. So after Climb Fest, I'm going to be heading up towards Fort William, and basically sitting in the van in the rain probably for a couple of weeks, and just hoping for 1 or 2 days so I can go and touch some holes, see some of the gear, and kind of figure out some of the mysteries around that route, which is, you know, probably one of the more infamous and mysterious trad routes in the world.
So, well, as far as I'm aware, it's only seen one ascent. Am I right in thinking that?
As far as I'm aware, the only person that's ever climbed it, but also ever seriously tried it, is Dave. I know that Steve McClure has, over the last couple of years, he's been actively trying to go and attempt the route. So far he hasn't even put his shoes on, because every time he's been up there it's just been terrible weather.
Scottish weather, yeah.
Last year I came over hoping to go and try the route, and we decided to base ourselves in North Wales with the rest of my family, where we could at least climb a little bit. The weather's usually a little bit better, and if we saw, you know, a good enough weather window of a few days, we were going to head up to Scotland, and that never happened. So this year we finally decided to commit fully and go to Fort William and see if Lady Luck shines down on us and gives us a few dry days.
So why do you think it has such an aura around it, and why does it seem so few repeats?
I think the aura obviously partly comes from Dave, because he's a fantastic climber. He's done a whole host of amazing routes, and normally they are very tough. So when Dave says something's pretty hard, it's usually pretty hard. And secondly, because nobody else has been on the route, the mystery around it has just grown and grown and grown. Whether it's become something bigger, which is what Dave's now hinting at, or whether it is genuinely going to be the hardest traditional route in the world, nobody really knows. So that's why it's very exciting to go and find out.
It's exciting that you're doing this straight after obviously doing Voyage as well, and having that accredited obviously with a second ascent from Adam Ondra and a third ascent from Seb Bert, all indicating similar things as well. So this kind of seems like a nice next step.
Exactly. I think, considering how complicated Echo Wall is going to be to even attempt, it's quite understandable that I've left it, you know, fairly late before I even tried to organise going to look at it. I've been really lucky over the last couple of years to have climbed some amazing routes, to have achieved some of my climbing dreams, and so whilst this is definitely not the only hard trad route that's left for me to do in the world, it's really a big kind of question mark, and I just feel like I'm in a pretty good shape at the moment. I'm really excited for a challenge like this, and if there has ever been a moment to go and try it, it's right now.
Perfect.
I'll probably say something very different after a couple of weeks in the van in the rain.
Once you've tried it, pulled on in the rain, and I can imagine. Well, because it's a route with such an aura around it, has your approach changed to tackling routes like this? Because obviously you're a family man, you've got a wife, you've got 2 kids. Has your approach changed to tackling routes like this? Because it has got that real fear factor, which is there, undoubtedly.
Definitely, yeah. Dave sold it as a complete death route. You know, where falling off, especially the upper crux, just isn't an option. And so that's what I'm going there with, the, you know, the mindset of taking on that challenge, which might sound a bit daft, because, you know, I'm a dad, I'm a husband, I have people that are relying on me, and, you know, really wouldn't like to see me end up in little pieces.
I don't think anyone wants that, just to be clear.
underneath that lump of rock. But I think over the last probably 5 years since becoming a dad, and this was as much a surprise to me as to anybody else, I've realised that if anything, it's made me more capable as an extreme trad climber, because I'm so much more calculated and so much more cautious than I was, because there's so much more riding on it. So when I do something these days, I like to think that I've really analysed everything and made the right decision, and that it's an important thing for me to do, and the risk is as low as I feel like it needs for me to be justifiable. Obviously, we're all human and we all make mistakes, and those that follow me might have seen a mistake that I made recently where I kind of botched a bit of a scary route in Italy. But if anything, that sort of pushed the reset button, because maybe I was getting a little bit too confident in my own abilities, and I'm quite glad that happened before going to Echo Wall. I really feel like now, if I don't feel there is, you know, 100% chance I'm going to get to the top of the route, I won't even set up on something like that.
No, that's nice. And I think actually it's something quite inspiring for us to all take those reality checks, and it's nice for you to actually acknowledge it publicly as well, that you had that moment, because a lot of people would walk away from that, from doing the boulder. So what was the name of the boulder?
It was called 29 Dots.
29 Dots, and it's V13?
No, it's V12.
V12, yeah.
Very high.
But it's not the bouldering element, it's the height and the exposure, yeah.
But what was the problem basically came with the way that I took on the challenge, and realistically I should have walked away at several points during that day, and I just ignored all the warning signs. So for me it was a great lesson that I need to listen to these things, and even though, you know, with more and more experience you feel like the chance of messing things up becomes less and less and less, still make really bad decisions, even now after 20 years of doing this.
Yeah, we're all on a journey where we're still learning at the end of the day, and it's nice to be vocal about that, because a lot of people aren't. It's we're all on it, so it's just nice to actually have that acknowledged.
Exactly, and in a really weird way, I'm quite grateful to have had that experience, not just for the reasons that I just mentioned, but I think for one of the first times it also allowed me to experience what I think a lot of other climbers experience on a more regular basis. Because I often talk to people who ask me, you know, how do you keep calm? How are you not terrified? And for me it's always been really hard to answer those questions, because I'm usually never terrified when I'm climbing. It's such a peaceful, zen-like experience. And climbing that route made me realise, wow, there's a lot of climbers out there that probably experience this on a regular basis, and if I lived climbing like this, I'm not sure I'd be a climber.
Yeah. Well,
it can be very, very, very scary when you lose control.
Mm-hmm. And a lot of those climbers, unfortunately, aren't here to tell us about
exactly.
it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a steep learning curve. But speaking of journeys, you're currently in the process of making a film about your own journey. So couldn't you tell us a little bit about that?
Exactly. So it started out as a film about Bon Voyage, because personally I'd felt like climbing Bon Voyage would be the end of a journey that's taken me, you know, more than 15 years to complete, a journey that I spoke at Kendal Festival last year, and what I never expected is that actually climbing that route turned out that it was just the beginning of something that I'd been putting so much importance on, finding this dream route of mine and climbing it, when actually all along the problems and the demons, I think, had more been inside me. And so now I'm still trying to figure out all of that. The one thing that climbing Bon Voyage showed me is that actually the story is a lot more complicated, and so we're now trying to make a film that talks more about more about mental health and asking for help when you need it, when you're in a dark place, never being shy to reach out to someone that might be able to give you the help that you need. And I also made mistakes there in my past, and if I was able to live my life again, I think that's one thing that I would definitely change. And so the ultimate aim of this film is just to destigmatize some of the ideas around especially white male mental health. You know, we're all supposed to be such tough, you know, keep calm and carry on is what people live on in the UK, and it's just, yeah, we can do so much better.
Yeah, and what's really nice is that you're bringing that to the forefront, because it's not really spoken about, specifically in climbing.
Yeah.
There seems to be a complete avoidance about openly discussing mental health. Do you know why that is? Do you have any inclination as to why that might be?
Because, speaking from my own experience, as a young boy growing up in the UK, you know, I was taught to catch whatever emotions I was feeling and bury them down deep, because that's just the way that men did things.
Stiff upper lip.
Exactly. And you know, my dad was Superman. I looked up to him, but I don't ever remember in my entire childhood having a conversation with him about feelings. And I think his father was even less emotionally capable. And I just hope that one day my son doesn't look back at his childhood with me and say, oh, I wish my dad had been a little bit better at talking about his feelings. And I guess that's what we can hope for, is that generation by generation we're going to all get better at this. But just verbalizing things is so much the key. And hopefully this film is going to make it a little bit easier for other guys in the future to realise that it's okay to be scared, it's okay to be sad, it's okay to feel all sorts of these complicated emotions. We don't even need to put words on them, but just by speaking about those feelings, we we give ourselves so much power over them.
I think that's a perfect note to end on.
Well,
so James is going.
much.
Yeah, so James is going to be premiering his film at the Kendal Mountain Festival, which is going to be in November later this year.
Yeah, thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, honestly, we're super excited. So make sure to keep an eye on the website where tickets will be coming live for James's event. So make sure to buy them. James, thank you.
Thanks
very
so
much.
much, mate.
Pleasure as always.
Lovely to talk to you. Cheers.
Thank you very much.